Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Tel Aviv. Coming up in today's newscast, Israel sets out to track down terrorists on social media. A new Israeli app is stirring up lots of controversy, and a special historical discovery is made in Israel. I'm Natasha Kirchak here with the latest news in Israel. Israel has announced that it will be investing in new technology to track down potential terrorists on social media.
The Israeli government is attempting to crack down on lone wolf terror attacks. Israel claims that potential terrorists often write about their attacks on Facebook before carrying them out, and that the new war on terrorism is in the digital world. New technology can help Israel discover potential terrorists on social media before they strike. The government is also increasing punishments for inciting terrorism on social media. This week, an East Jerusalem man was sentenced to a year in prison for inciting violence against Israelis on Facebook. The court claims he incited violence by leaving a Facebook comment showing his approval of an attack on a Jerusalem synagogue where 5 people were killed.
U.S. President Barack Obama memorialized International Holocaust Day yesterday by acknowledging that anti-Semitism is on the rise.
So here tonight, we must confront the reality that around the world, anti-Semitism is on the rise. We cannot deny it. And when we see some Jews leaving European cities where their families have lived for generations because they no longer feel safe, when Jewish centers are targeted from Mumbai to Overland Park, Kansas, when swastikas appear on college campuses, when we see all that and more, we must not be silent.
Obama memorialized a tragic historical event at a ceremony in the Israeli embassy in Washington. During his speech, he repeated the emotional words of U.S. soldier Roddy Edmonds, who was taken prisoner by the Germans during World War II.
When any Jew anywhere is targeted just for being Jewish, we all have to respond as Roddy Edmonds did. We are all Jews. We know that we'll never be able to wipe out hatred from every single mind. We won't entirely erase the scourge of anti-Semitism. But like the righteous, we must do everything we can. All of us have a responsibility. When Israel faces terrorism, we stand up forcefully and proudly in defense of our ally, in defense of our friend, in defense of the Jewish state of Israel. America's commitment to Israel's security remains now and forever unshakable. And I've said this before, it would be a fundamental moral failing if America broke that bond.
World-renowned American Jewish film director Steven Spielberg also attended the event and recalled how the Holocaust influenced his earliest childhood memories.
I found my own voice at a very early age where I was barely able to reach the top of the dining room table, from where I could watch my grandmother teaching Hungarian Holocaust survivors English. There was no Sesame Street back then, but I learned my numbers on the forearms of survivors of Auschwitz. They taught me how to count. This is an indelible memory, and it set me on the path as a person who began to listen to everything. And I have always believed you can't find your own voice for speaking on behalf of the world or speaking against those who would destroy the world if you can't hear what the world is saying.
In New York, the United Nations General Assembly held a minute of silence to honor the victims of the Holocaust. Israeli survivor Marta Weiss addressed the assembly.
We were in rags, in deep snow, and without food, without proper clothing, and we survived. To describe Auschwitz, there's only one word: evil incarnate. Everything was evil there. World anti-Semitism is even more evident today with the threats of economic boycotts on Israel and academic boycotts on Israel. A reminder of the steps taken by Nazi Germany with the rise of Hitler. Then, as now, the world is standing by silently. People often ask, where was God during the Holocaust? My question is, where was man?
Israelis throughout the country can't stop talking about former Israeli NBA coach David Blatt. The star coach was fired in the middle of his second season coaching the Cleveland Cavaliers. And now the big question on everyone's mind is what will happen to him. Blatt may be jobless at the moment, but a number of NBA coaches say he still has a bright future in the league. Israeli basketball commentator Simi Rieger joins us with more. Thanks for coming in and happy birthday.
Thank you, dear.
You're turning 70 today, so this is a huge birthday for you.
Yeah, just a little closer to speaking to God. You know, it'll happen.
That's one way of putting it, but it's cause for lots of celebration.
Thank you.
So let's talk about David Blatt a little bit.
Okay.
Were you surprised when you heard about what happened?
No, I wasn't surprised because the last month or so, ever since the Christmas game that they played against Golden State in Golden State, and they played terribly, even though it was a fairly close game. There was a lot of grumbling going on. And then the next day they flew to Portland and lost to Portland by 30. And when you're on an away trip, you're all together in the hotel and either brings you together or pulls you apart. And it pulled them apart. And, you know, I mean, a lot of it had to do with not having control over LeBron James. The difference between Cleveland and Miami is one person. He's called Pat Riley. Pat Riley's the president of Miami, and he wouldn't put up with the BS that LeBron does in Cleveland. David Griffin, who's a very nice guy who I know, just isn't strong enough to control him.
So you just talked about LeBron James right now. Can you talk to us about what his role was in this happening?
Well, LeBron didn't like David right from the beginning. He didn't give him respect right from the beginning. You know, I mean, you have to understand a lot of NBA superstars, Magic, Michael, Kobe, they all fired coaches. All of them, every one of them. It's just the way LeBron did it. He threw him under the bus in public, and it wasn't very nice. And he got a lot of criticism for it, even by his own writers that he likes on ESPN and thing. I think it was embarrassing. And I know the kid, since he's 15 from five-star camp, he's turned into a completely different person.
But why is that? I mean, why didn't he like David Blatt? What was the issue?
He didn't respect him as a coach. You know, I mean, I don't know why. You know, I never spoke to him about it. But, you know, you could see right from the beginning the body language, the lack of respect in the locker room. And it was a problem. And I'll tell you the truth, David Griffin got on TV, and I was shocked. He said, I was in the locker room of my team for a month or 2 months, and I saw the team. I've never heard of a general manager going into the locker room and sitting there and watching that. I have friends, UB Brown and Mike Fratello, they never heard of anything like that. It's absurd, and I guess Griffin was under a lot of pressure.
So where was the management in this equation?
Nowhere.
They were supposed to
Absolutely nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. You know, I don't care what they say, you know, and how they say it. I mean, David said LeBron is the team, but he doesn't run the team. I don't believe that. He runs the team. I mean, it just wasn't a good situation, and it got into a worse situation, and they had to let it go. And one of the problems, you know, which I thought David, I know him, I brought him to Israel in 1981. He played for me up in Haifa, and later on in Jerusalem, and later on in Hadera. And he's a very thorough person. He's a very down-to-earth, does everything proper, Yesodi, you know, really, really technical person. And he went to the NBA, and he didn't go to first grade. He went to the university. You know, you have to go to first grade first. He didn't know the league. I know it's very, very difficult to say no to like $20 million and being a head coach. But, you know, he could have been David, you know, it could have been the first assistant coach at Golden State and then learn the league. And that's what David usually does. You know, he wants to know. He doesn't want to be caught by surprise. And also his offenses they didn't run offenses. It was just, I don't know if you understand basketball coming from Duke, but, you know, pick and pop and pick and roll and no sets, no nothing.
Well, do you think, I mean, I guess you're saying this, part of this was Blatt's fault in a way then?
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, I mean, everybody's responsible. The players, the management.
Israelis don't want to think that, you know, about
the Israelis,
beloved.
The Israelis think I know basketball, and they have no idea that I don't know basketball. No, but I mean, you know, I mean, this is, you know, they really don't understand the game. And you know, people don't understand that the NBA is a different game from Europe and from Israel. Because in Europe and Israel, the coaches are dominant.
Right, we were
in the
talking about this
NBA,
before.
The players are dominating. They're the ones who sell tickets. You know, you see a guy like Messina. He did all the big teams, bigger than David did, CSKA Moscow. He became assistant coach at San Antonio, so he could learn the NBA.
So there's a difference that exists in the Israeli mentality in terms of how you play the game, you know, which is it's a team effort versus, you know, the star being the leader in the United States.
You know, a friend of mine told me once when I came to Israel, there's basketball and there's Israeli basketball. It's two different games.
There you go. That's the first time I've heard that, and I appreciate it. I do. So I heard that a lot of people, their rumor is that David Blatt is actually going to go and coach college basketball now. Is that true?
No. But, you know, I mean, it's a real good thought. You know, if he gets the proper club, you know, the proper university, Duke, Kentucky, Carolina, one of these top programs that he could really enjoy. I mean, you know, I could see him doing it, but I think he wants to stay in the NBA. I mean, I'm almost sure of it. I haven't spoken to him, so I can't really tell you.
He led the Cavaliers to a lot of success, so, you know, you could see him kind of becoming a Coach K of sorts, you know, and doing the same in
Well, it's
basketball.
also a completely different game, but here it's more David Blatt in the university. Why do I say that? Because when you're in college, you can recruit the kids you want. When you're in the NBA, you inherit players. And you really don't have a say in the matter because the general manager has, unless you're a very strong coach, and there are very few of those. Popovich, but then again, Buford also has you know, is the main man there. But I mean, I think college would really be good for him. I mean, the guy's a Princeton graduate. You know, when I coached him in '81, he never heard foul language like that in his life before, and you know, he got used to it, and it's all part of the game. You grow with the game. Every part is a wonderful thing. Basketball is a great game, and that's been his life, has been my life, and it's gone by real quick.
So here's the big question now. Where is David Blatt headed? What is his next step?
Well, from what I understand, there are two teams that are thinking about him. One of them, I understand, is Brooklyn, with the Russian guy, Parakhov, that also was in CSKA Moscow, knows him from Russia. I think it would be a major mistake to go there. From what I understand, maybe Minnesota. That would be a good choice from there. A very young team. They got 3 kids under 21 that are really good, and he could bring them along. But if I was David, I'd go become an assistant coach for a year or 2. There's jobs waiting for him in the thing. He has a lot of respect. He knows how to talk. He knows how to represent himself. He's a mensch.
All right, well, I guess we'll have to see what happens. Happy birthday again. The control room should be playing happy birthday music.
No, it costs money.
Celebrate afterwards.
Huh? It costs money.
Yeah, well,
play that.
That's one way of looking at it. But happy birthday and
thank you very much
to 120 years.
Oh, 100 like a 20-year-old.
Exactly. All right, well, thank you so much. So a new Israeli app is being trumpeted as the next big messaging application, and it's stirring major public criticism and controversy in Israel. Check it out.
The anonymous text app Blindspot provides a voice for those too shy or scared to communicate openly. Blindspot allows users to send text messages, videos, and photos to anyone without the receiver knowing who the message came from.
I use that. I curse all the people who I hate. And the one I love, I also curse because I can.
Since its launch in December, Blindspot already boasts 700,000 users, many of which are in the United States and the UK. But critics are determined to shut down the app because they fear it will be used as a site for abusive messaging. Many parents and politicians say it could be used for cyberbullying.
We went straight ahead to one of the managers of the application, which is the brother of a well-known model in Israel. His name is Dor Rafaeli, and we just said to him, maybe you had good intentions, but the result was very bad, and a lot of, as we said, bullying and a lot of complaints by kids, and we just told him, tried to tell him, close it, shut down the app because it will bring no good.
I don't have the Blindspot app because I think it's a very bad app. People feel free to be anonymous and tell whatever they want, even if it hurts, and I disagree with that.
You can see it. I think it's a very bad application. It's hurtful and demeaning to people, and people curse me and threat me a lot. I'm really scared from it sometimes.
Blindspot users register with their own phone numbers, but their number doesn't appear on the text they send out. Educators say the anonymity has allowed Blindspot to create a virtual schoolyard where bullies can threaten and mock others without any repercussions.
You can use the internet for good things and for bad things, and you have to put boundaries and limits for the use of the technology. And I think this is the place where parents and governments and institutions must take a step and say what is right and what is wrong. And I don't know what's the goal of Google and Apple that they are letting this app to be on their stores. This is the main problem. And they have to understand the risks of using this kind of apps that can offend people, and you don't know what the people are going to say, especially children. What they are going to do if they are offended by a lot of kids in their classroom or in their friends or whatever.
Israeli supermodel Bar Rafaeli's brother happens to be the Israeli entrepreneur behind the messaging application, and he says the app was initially developed to help give a voice to the silenced. Battered women and children in danger have even used a platform to connect with one another. Dor says the app is only bad if it's used for negative purposes.
זה משחק, וזה עוד דרך להיות אמיתיים, חברים. אתה יכול להגיד את כל מה שאתה רוצה באמת, ולא... את יודעת, אחרי שדברים משתנים, אחרי שמורידים את מסכת הזהות. אנחנו רואים את זה דווקא דבר חיובי. אני משתמש בזה בתור דברים חיוביים. מעבר לזה, פשוט משחק. ואני רק רוצה להדגיש ולהעביר, אני לא בא בתלונות כאילו לאף אחד, ואני לא מאמין שאנשים יעשו עם זה רע, אבל אין כזה דבר, אפליקציה רעה, יש כזה דבר, אנשים רעים.
Yet parents aren't having Dor's argument. Another Israeli app called SafeSpot has already been created to block the controversial app.
SafeSpot is an app that blocks and notifies the parents about anonymous messaging. We started by blocking Blindspot, but we already added more application, and we'll keep adding more application that enable malicious messaging. The parents get notified if the children installed such an app, and also the content of the message is being blocked by SafeSpot.
Archaeologists have made an exciting historical discovery in northern Israel. They've unearthed 1,700-year-old tombstones in Sipoli, which are inscribed with the names of rabbis. ILTV reporter Denise Wood has more on the story.
The stones show the rabbis' names engraved in Aramaic and Greek and paint a picture of everyday life for Jews during the time period. Sipoli was a major city in the western Galilee under the Romans, and the tombstones show that the Jews played a prominent role in the city's society. The Israeli government says that the discovery is important in learning about the Jewish society from that time period. The stones will continue to be examined by the Israel Antiquities Authority before being displayed for the public.
And now for our Hebrew word of the day. We wanted to have some fun and talk about one of the most commonly used words in Israel, and possibly New York City, chutzpah. Chutzpah is that famous word that Jews like to throw around when they're referring to self-confidence, nerve, or audacity. And most people think it's a Yiddish word, but that's actually wrong. Its origins really come from ancient Hebrew. So if an Israeli randomly shouts out, "Eze chutzpah," you should definitely pay attention to their tone to know if it's a compliment or an insult. In Israel, if someone cuts you in the line, you'll definitely hear someone yell, "Eze chutzpah," or "What nerve?" But at the same time, Israelis really appreciate chutzpah, and they're always encouraging each other to be more aggressive or bold. Israelis may like to call you out on your nerve, but they're probably secretly loving it. After all, a little bit of chutzpah is necessary to get anywhere in life. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. The weekend is finally here. Friday should be mostly cloudy, but the temperature will go up to 60 degrees. Saturday will be even warmer with a high of 63. All right, everybody, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.96 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at ILTV.tv, and don't forget to check out our evening update every night at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tonight.